Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy Ape. I've been working. I finally got the stream set up. I'm streaming to a few different places now. Check that out: YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. I got it all. Yeah, with that being said, make sure you're following along with the live. I'm going to be streaming literally every day and still trying to get out a video at least every day. I know I've been kind of slow on the video. It's because I'm just making sure everything's in order. Yeah, so, man, I am far behind. I don't have any of the Uber uniques I need, right? Anyways, though, this is going to be a Necro build. It's crazy. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you've seen my old Necro build, but this is a very powerful update to that. And yeah, let's see what I got in. So there is some pieces that I'm missing for, what I'm thinking of doing in the end. But you don't necessarily need those pieces to be really powerful. I'm going to get into this, okay? So where do I want to start? I want to skip some of the skill points and stuff like that. I want to talk about something else first, okay? So number one priority I have for this build, right, is basically lidless wall, okay? That's my number one priority. Combination of lidless wall with bone storm damage barrier, right? And then also having that up 100% of the time. Now, having that up 100% of the time or near 100% of the time is going to depend on your gear, okay? You could just do it basically with cooldown reduction and the cooldown reduction vampire thing, right? That's one method. Now, you could do it with a couple other methods as well, such as just having the boots alone. But some people don't have the boots, so that's why I mentioned the cooldown reduction method. Now, that's step one, okay? Is making sure we have this lit 100% of the time. Because this is going to make sure that we can go into a tier 100 nightmare dungeon and our life never go down. Our fortify never go down. And with also, just to note on that, this is a overpower surge build, so you scale off your life and your fortify. So this shield protecting our health and our fortify at all time is a pretty good, So next, what I'm going to talk about here. Now, that's survivability, okay? Now, there's two other sections. There's three sections I got marked, right? It's going to be survivability from here. Essence, right, which we're going to go over next, and the third thing will be damage, okay? So I'm going to go into essence next. Now, I may be switching off of this, but the best essence builder for this build, without a doubt, is Mother's Embrace. I was never a big fan of Mother's Embrace, but this ring is undeniable for this build, okay? Now, keep in mind, I also have an Uber unique, okay? I have Starlight. It's in here somewhere, which, here's Starlight, right? Mother's Embrace is way better than Starlight for this build, okay? Now, so your main source of regen, okay, is going to be from Mother's Embrace. Now, keep in mind, okay, I've also used Umbral, a 4 Umbral. I hope everyone knows what that is. 4 Umbrals, you get, yeah, I'm pretty sure, oh, here it is right here. I've used one of these, right, Restore 4, okay, I've used that method, and then I've also used the Health Globe method. I've used all methods and tested them out myself. And Mother's Embrace is by far the best option. Next, okay, well, not actually, I do want to elaborate too. So first of all, my build's not really, it's a blood surge build, but one of the differences, it's not really pushing blood orbs very much, right? So I've actually been thinking of, well, here's the thing. The thing is there's actually multiple viable options for AoE, the multiple target, right? But all of these fall off. Mother's Embrace falls off, Umbral falls off, and Health Globe gives essence also falls off versus single target. Okay? And with that being said, it's pretty much easy to and two, I'm actually gonna, because I actually let me actually go on to the pants is definitely one of your biggest needs for primary resource. When you have the pants too, it makes, you know, whatever secondary primary resource you are using, as it makes it really easy. So the pants comboed with another combination, right? This makes it anytime I evade, it's gonna give me resource. There is a cooldown because it's only when you're unstoppable for 4 seconds. So it's only gonna proc every 4 seconds, right? So there's that. Now I've been thinking about taking Mother's Embrace off, and let me tell you why. And actually, this is gonna sound weird. Actually, going with no resource generation, nothing that does resource generation, right? Going without Mother's Embrace, going without any of it, okay? And only going with Tibb's Will, right? Now, the reason why I'm thinking about going and doing this, and I think that it could be beneficial, is because the build that I want to use could benefit off of another offensive talent, right? Another offensive aspect on my gear, right? And these aren't the ones I'm currently using. I'm just running tests. So I could benefit from another offensive talent, right? And where I want to put that offensive talent, I need attack speed. Now, attack speed is obviously going to be like a damage multiplier. It's going to be affecting your damage, right? But with hemorrhage, right? With hemorrhage, okay, when this thing has a lot of attack speed, it's your fury generator. So with that being said, when you're down to a single target, okay, when you're down to a boss fight, or you are down to a single elite, the whole point is that Mother's Embrace isn't gonna work, right? Umbral isn't gonna work, okay? None of the fury generator, or none of the essence generators, resource generators are not gonna work, okay? When that point comes, what is going to fill up your bar the fastest is attack speed, okay? And this thing is actually so insane, like, honestly, high attack speed with this will literally fill up your whole bar in 2 seconds, okay? Or half of your bar in 2 seconds, and then you're able to evade. So it's like evade for 50 primary, fill up 75% of the way, and evade again. Boom, boom, boom. So, and what's going on here is you're constantly just casting, evading, casting, evading, casting, evading. So, there's that, okay? I am considering taking off Mother's Embrace, even though this thing is insanely OP for this build. Now, why would I want to take off Mother's Embrace? Here is the new part to the build, and that is where the damage is coming from, okay? So, first of all, I'm not really big on blood orbs, okay? I'm going to actually go into a little bit of detail why I'm not really into blood orbs. So, first of all, I cannot go and collect these blood orbs without attacking, okay? So, in the time that I have to go and walk to a blood orb, I'm not attacking. That is actually, as dumb as that sounds, that is probably my main reason for not wanting to go and get these blood orbs. The second part here is that there is an option for me to, because I'm evading a lot to get this primary resource, right? I could evade into the blood orbs, right? Which actually makes a lot of sense and would work if you want to go that route. However, okay, gaining essence based on blood orbs as your essence regenerator isn't that great. So I did try that method, and I just didn't think it was that good for single target, because when I evaded in there, I mean, I was just getting 20 energy, which really isn't that much compared to, you know, blood surge just, I'm sorry, hemorrhage just completely filling up your bar in a matter of seconds. It's really not worth it. And two, it's only 20 if you have a good roll, right? You'd have to have a perfect roll to get that 20. If you even have less than a 20 roll, I mean, I wouldn't even do it with the 20. So if you have less than a 20 roll, that's even more reason why I would just not do it. Now, I'm going to go into a couple more things about Blood Orb. So, you know what? If I remember what I was gonna say about Blood Orb, I'll bring it up. But for now, I don't want to edit this video, so we're going on to the next step here. So, this right here, after being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers, right? This timer is reduced 2 seconds each time you pick up a Blood Orb, right? Well, I feel like there's so there is some weird synergy with this right here, right? But this right here can only happen every 4 seconds, right? So there is a cap on this, right? And then this right here, right? This actually has a % chance, I think, right? After picking up, oh yeah, this. So the thing is hemorrhage has a chance to drop a blood orb. So even though I'm not trying to drop blood orbs whatsoever, they're still falling, right? Even without this, right? So I don't even need this to spawn the blood orbs. That's another kind of reason why I've kind of leaned against blood orbs. The next thing is, so that's for essence, okay? I'm going to put a pause on essence and stop talking about essence for a second, because I think that I've discussed multiple ways to run lidless and multiple routes for defensive, for regeneration, okay? Now, I want to talk about the multiple ways for DPS here. Okay, so here it is. So, first of all, I'm going to start this with creeping veins. Gasping veins. So this is one of the talents I actually never used that I always see on people's build. Why I didn't use it, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm going to go over my gear real quick, okay? So, first of all, okay, if you don't have Eyeless, Wall of Eyeless, and you want this procced 100% of the time, that means that you're going to need this Bone Storm on your amulet. Okay, regardless, let's forget about that. Let's assume you don't even care about that, because that's talking, but that it kind of explains why there's different routes, and it's a little confusing. But to the DPS, okay, so first of all, before I even go into the other routes, I'm going to tell you where I'm going with the DPS. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to be taking Vigor off, okay? And I'm going to be going with Shadow Blight here, okay? Shadow damage infects enemies. Shadow Blight 2 seconds. Every 10 seconds, then shadow damage, additional. Now, that's what I'm going to be using, okay? Now, with that being said, as you can see my skills here, I have nothing that casts shadow damage. Now, I'm going to first talk about, first of all, a few different routes here, okay? So route number 1, Doombringer, okay? Doombringer is a uber unique weapon that has a lucky hit chance to spawn shadow damage. So if you had Doombringer on, that's one way you would proc the shadow damage. I'm going to get into more on the shadow damage and the damage in a second. But first, I'm going to tell you how you would proc these with Blood Surge, right? Without the... Okay, so hear me out. So, the first way is with Doombringer. Now, if you don't have Doombringer, that's perfectly fine, right? The second way you would do it, okay, and these are probably going to be pretty much in order of kind of most easiest maybe to proc. So, and this should be near 100% uptime as well, let me add. If you had a Doombringer, you know, as you're AoEing with Blood Surge, that should be building up quite quickly, right? So, next, no Doombringer. Let's talk about the build without Doombringer for a second. Now, next, what you have... Now, I don't have the gear on. I've been running tests, okay? So, next, what you would want... Let me actually see if I can show one for you guys, because I don't know what it's called. Next is a combination... Well, they're all combinations. Hold on a second. It's the, where art thou? Here it is right here, okay? And it's Bone Storm and Bone Wave are also darkness skills. Shadow damage, gain additional, da-da-da-da. So, first of all, this talent sucks, okay? In my opinion, this talent sucks. It's not good. But, okay, this makes it so... my Bone Storm is automatically, without me doing anything, proccing shadow damage. And might I add you too, I constantly have, because of the setup I'm running, I constantly have 4 or 5 Bone Storms or whatever it is everywhere around the map, AoEing everything in sight, instantly getting this Shadow Blight up to its max stacks very quickly, okay? So, one of my favorite options is to go with that wherever it just went, because I'm using Bone Storm, right? So, there's that. Now, the third option is the third most, I think, realistic option is going Corpse Explosion into Blighted Corpse Explosion, okay? And this will make the shadow damage over 6 seconds. Now, I also think that this would work very well as well, but the thing about this is it's not happening immediately as you go into battle, and what it's going to do is it's going to make the uptime on Blighted lower, okay? You would actually have to get a corpse and then go through that process in order for it to actually start ticking. Now, with that being said, you can still do it. Now, the main reason I want all of this shadow damage is because of this talent right here, okay? You deal 120 increased damage for 6 seconds. After the Shadow Blight key passive damage, enemy damages 10 times. Okay? Now, this would be put on my amulet. Okay? Now, when this is put on my amulet, that's 180% multiplicative damage on my amulet. Okay? So, this is what's happening. I have Bone Storm set up, proccing this to me 100% of the time, so it's impossible for my life to go down, my life and my fortify. I am shielded 100% of the time in a tier 100 dungeon, basically unable to get damaged in most scenarios, right? You're pretty much not going to die. Now, that's my survivability, okay? Now, part 2, my resource gen. My resource gen, for the main part,
Greetings.
I'm just evading. It's giving me a 50 chunk back, which is working well. Currently, I'm running Mother's Embrace for huge crowds. Now, damage-wise, right? Damage-wise, what I'm doing is I'm putting this talent right here, the Shadow Blight talent, 180 multiplicative damage right here. Now, also, I have the other talent. What is it? I don't know where it went. Oh my god, I lost it. Oh, I lost it. I lost it. Where'd it go? Right here. Ultimate Shadow. Now this is making the attack Shadow, right? So it can actually proc this with Shadow Blight, right? Shadow damage infects enemy every 2 seconds, every 10th enemy. So now when you have that, okay, you basically have this 180% multiplicative damage up almost, a strong 90% of the time, okay? Now, when these groups of elites and these big packs that you are you're immortal against, okay, because of this Bone Storm, when you pull them into a big group, or you don't pull them because it doesn't matter because Surge is an AoE anyways, right? When you have all that, you're literally melting them, right? You are melting them. Now, I want to talk about something real quick. And Mother's Embrace is so good. I kind of pinched into this, but there is a kind of a point, right? So, if this talent right here is going on my amulet, okay, right, then I do want this talent here still, the increased attack speed. I think increased attack speed is part of my whole generator. And actually, maybe even the most important thing about my generator, even maybe better than Mother's Embrace. Because at the end of the day, if there's a big group of monsters, I believe that I could AoE them down quickly with evading. With it wouldn't take that long to kill them because I have such strong DPS. So this right here, I've tested multiple times. I've had it everywhere. I'm not a big fan of this at all. I can't see any real damage coming from it. I don't know if you have information on this. Put it in the comment section below. But I just can't really get significant damage out of this. And I am definitely overhealing. And I have a shield over me. So I know I'm overhealing 100% of the time. And I just can't get significant amount of damage out of this, right? Actually, no damage. It seems like my damage actually goes down because I'm taking off another damage additive to even another damage aspect in the slot to even put it on. Now, with that being said, so we have this talent going on my amulet spot for the 180. We would have this talent right here probably going on my gloves for the 150. Now, there's only 2 other slots. My weapon slot, okay, which there is a theoretical Doombringer scenario that you can theorize yourself. I'll bring, the Doombringer into it when I get it, and I'll show you if there's a, Now, as for my other slot, I have Bone Storms consume 8 corpse in increased duration. Now, I do think that this is necessary, right? I would never even take this off because it's a universal build to me. The only way that this, I think, loses value is if you go to a much lower content, like you're farming like 20 or 30 nightmare dungeons, right? But if you are actually farming level 100 nightmare dungeons, this I'm pretty sure is going to be 100% has to be on your gear. Okay, now with that being said, okay, this is going to amulet, this is going to gloves. We want to keep this on. So if we were to bring Doombringer, Blood Surge's Echo would have to go where Mother's Embrace is, right? My next goal here is to take Mother's Embrace off, right? I could take Mother's Embrace off right now without Doombringer, and I can actually throw on another aspect, right? Now, putting on a worse Essence generator doesn't make sense. So this will never be Umbral. This will never be Blood Globes. This is going to be another offensive stat for me. Okay? This is going to be another offensive stat. Now, which offensive stat do we want it to be is the question. Now, since we're losing this, I think that it makes the most sense that this is probably attack speed. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure, and I actually don't have that pre-planned, but I just said that right off the bat. Now, if I was to put crits with core on my ring, and then have, you know, this over here, that's 50 attack speed, and then another 25 attack speed. Now, the thing with adding crits with core and getting this attack speed also, that's just going to make our essence generation with blood surge overpowered, right? At that point, we're holding it for a second or two, and our essence is filled back up, right? Now, it's probably already good enough without that attack speed, but it's just an option, right? You could also put, you could put basic attack speed there. I don't know, right? You could put, there's a bunch of other weird options. Your shadow damage overtime effects, chance to generate essence damage with your key blight, and this passive always generates essence. That's another thing. I don't know if this is good for single target though, and also this is an essence generator, so I'm leaning more towards putting an offensive talent there, right? So that's basically where I'm at. I'm thinking a little, getting even more damage. I'm, you know, scrolling through some of these now, maybe giving you some idea. Here, how about this one? Consuming a corpse increases the damage of your next core by 50 multiplicative. You'd have 180 multi here, and then you'd also have another 50 multi there, right? Sacrifice bonus. These are a few. You could put Edge Master in, but I think there's some underlying, you know, you're not always 100%, so the numbers are a little bit fabricated. I would kind of, you know, so there's that. Now, there is more to, I'm not going to get all the way into them, but now, at the end of this video, I'm actually going to show my stats, my skills, all that jazz, right? And really quickly go in to it briefly, right? This is a far superior generator than Reap, okay? In terms of how fast your essence bar is going to fill up. Okay, so creating corpses to help fortify. Some of this stuff can be moved around if you're, you know, super sufficient on the fortify. And, you know, another note with the fortify too, I don't want to bounce around. You know, I'll get back to it in a second, but there's a Paragon glyph node that people usually use at the beginning of the board because it fortifies you 7%, blood drinker or whatever it is. But, you know, if you're already fortifying at 100%, is that doing anything? So, anyways, I have no points into over here. There's really no point for me to put a point into Blood Surge. Into Blood Mist. I don't die because I have Bone Storms up all the time, and I'm not getting damaged, so I don't need the oh shit button. Now, if you were to want to put on Blood Mist, okay, you would also have to... hear me out. If you did want to put on Blood Mist, okay, I would think that you would want to put on Blood Mist to get this third thing right here, Ghastly Blood Mist. Blood Mist leaves behind a corpse every second. That way you could Blood Mist into a group, lay the corpse, pop out and lay veins, right? I'm not doing that. I'm just teleporting into the group, into the tier 100 with 100 ads around, bone storms everywhere. I'm immortal, and I'm just killing them instantly with Blood Surge. And then a trash mob dies so fast, I drop Corpse Tendril, and that's how I am doing that, okay? Now, there is a couple slight ways you could get even more damage, okay? And that's proccing into Fueled by Death, and getting damage after you consume a corpse. How we're consuming corpse, I'm going to get to you later and talk to you about this. That's another reason why I actually don't have it plugged in. So, next, what do we have here? Pretty standard over here, right? Okay, pretty standard. Decrepify. You have to use one of these in order to, you know, proc amplify damage, right? So this is pretty standard. This is also going to be your slow. So over here as well too, this is pretty standard. A point here or a point not here, I don't really think it matters, to me at least, because I'm not out there chasing blood orbs, and I'm actually still grabbing blood orbs. You know, I'm still seeing blood orbs anyways, I feel like. You know, maybe, I think 1 point here is okay if you want to see blood orbs, okay? This is Fortify. This is Fortify with the combination of here. I don't know how powerful this is, but it is what it is. Maybe you could take out these points, some of these points here, and that's how you could maybe spec into Fueled by Death. Maybe even take out this vulnerable application here. As well, Blood Orb option here, right? So I was sleeping. I actually didn't realize that Metamorphosis, when you dashed into people, it makes them vulnerable. So, I think that maybe you could take off this vulnerable application. I had thought that that was my only vulnerable application, right? But I guess it's not, because Metamorphosis here, when you evade, become unstoppable, along your path. Physical damage are infected with a vampire curse. Hold on a second. You know, actually, no, that is my only form of... That is my only form of vulnerable application. You could make them vulnerable with that using Prey on the Weak. But I'm not doing that at this time, which is why I have the vulnerable application here, because this is literally my only source of vulnerable, right? But I suppose with how much I'm dashing, evading through enemies, that I probably would be making them vulnerable a lot. So when I pulled with Corpse Tendril, I guess it is a pretty natural motion that takes 0 time if I then evade through them, make them vulnerable, and cast on them, which is the natural process of how you're blood surging, right? So, back into the abilities here. So, there are some more options here, okay? And that is the sleeper of movement speed, right? So, I've always liked movement speed on my amulet. My movement speed is a little bit low. Attack speed is also tied into your movement speed because of vampire powers that you are probably using, right? And attack speed is tied into your hemorrhage fury energy essence generation, right? I'm not sure if it's... I'm pretty sure that that's how it would proc, right? Like, so what I'm getting at is here is there are some sleepers, right? Like Reaper's Pursuit, okay? You would have 100% uptime on this movement speed. I'm just going to move some points out of here, right? So this 15% movement speed here would actually be quite valuable, right? It would actually be quite valuable because it would be doing a lot, okay? It would be making you move faster, okay? It would be making your hemorrhage fill up faster, and then as well it would make your attack speed go higher because of your vampire power right here, Ravenous. Up to 20% chance to increase your attack speed, 40% of your total movement speed for 6 seconds, right? So that would also increase your attack speed. And then fourth of all, while all them things might be tied in together, right? Movement speed is one of the biggest sleepers to damage per second, okay? Most of the time, generally speaking, if you're running nightmare dungeons, movement speed is one of the best damage stats that you can get, right? Because, I mean, I hope that it's obvious and I don't have to break it down, you know, but the faster you can move and clear throughout stuff, the, you know, movement speed can take, you know, more damage off of, you know, it does a lot of damage because you can cover more ground quicker, basically, right? If you're, you know, clearing a nightmare dungeon in 6 minutes, or if you're clearing it in 4 minutes, is going to most likely be your biggest DPS increase, right? And with that being said, with this going on your amulet, if you're farming much lower tier dungeons, like you're not farming 100s, say you're farming much lower tiers, well, then you have something even weird happening, because not only do you probably not need this on your ring, right, but you probably don't even need all that extra damage. You'd probably want to keep the damage with this one here, but whole point is you could also put Ghost Walker on your amulet, right, which is going to give you a bigger DPS increase than this 180 multiplicative damage source would, right? And the reason why is because, you know, if you're running to, you know, if you're just farming level 50, 60 nightmare dungeons, yeah, you're going to walk up in one shot with this 180 multiplicative damage, but you're also going to walk up in one shot with the movement speed on the amulet as well. Either way, you're walking up and killing the adds in 1 second. So at that point, your biggest DPS increase is actually going to come from movement speed, right? So, and as well too, that's when things start getting a little nuts, because I'm at 123% movement speed, right? And with this over here, I would be at like 123, 128, 138, okay? And then too, if I put a perfect Ghost Walkers on my amulet, 138, I don't know, like another almost 40, we'll round it, 138 and 40, 140, 40, 180, all right? We're at 180 movement speed, and now this is, you know, also proccing off your movement speed. While I do think this video is getting a little bit long, I do also think all this information is completely relevant, right, if you're looking into all this. Where was I? So, yeah, there's that. I don't think that there was too much else really in here. I did try the lucky hit darkness skills. I did test this. Darkness skills have a 15% chance to stun enemies. I had tested this with Bone Storm. Man, it was rarely stunning. I didn't really have any lucky hit. So there's going to have to be, if you're going to try to push this, that's going to have to be some sort of variant where you have a good amount of lucky hit, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to kind of go past this section. I think we're done with this. If I'm going to say anything else, I do see some like weird world where, I mean, I guess not, but sometimes I wonder about like crit with bone. I don't think so though. Moving on here. We got points into attack speed over here. Now, I am going to say that while I do love the attack speed, right, that if I was to, depending on what gear I'm moving, right, if I got a good roll on the attack speed, like I actually do have a 50 roll that I'm going to be putting on my gloves as well, which I do, while this does fill up essence very fast with hemorrhage, right, is 3 points actually really worth it for 12 attack speed? I'm not sure, right? So if I really wanted to, there is some ways I could steal a bunch of points and not lose much, I feel like, and spec into something, you know, a little bit different. Sometimes I've even thought about just completely taking off Corpse Tendril, right? Which sounds crazy, but the problem is there's really not a place for me to put the points, right? Is one of the main problems. There's no real use for me to put the points, but honestly, Corpse Tendril doesn't really do all that much for me because I'm killing everything with Blood Surge. It's AoEs the whole screen, There's no point to really, I mean, it does help. It does help sometimes. But when you have really good damage and you're just AoEing the whole screen, it kind of doesn't even matter if they're getting pulled in regardless, right? But hey, it is one of the only vulnerable applications. It is what it is. I'm going to go past that. Moving on here. No points into over here. This data data standard, right? Standard over here. I'm gone into Supreme Bone Storm. Another thing about Bone Storm actually too is that this is crit hit chance, right? I have really low crit hit chance. I wouldn't really recommend going hard into crit hit chance either. I don't really think that you need much crit hit chance, right? I'm pretty sure I have like 10 or 10 or 20 crit hit chance or something like that. I got 14 crit hit chance, so I have Bone Storm acted 100% of the time, so I have 35 crit hit chance, and I'm sure that's more than good, right? And I actually have really bad gear too, right? Like my gloves, I could have crit hit chance here, have more like 50 crit hit chance, right? So with that being said as well, you know, if you are going into gasping veins, well, I believe you're starting to get into a point where you have way too much crit hit chance, because if you're in the same situation I am, where, you know, if you get crit hit chance on your gloves, you have 50, and then you put on gasping veins, you got 70% crit hit chance, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say that 70% crit hit chance is probably too much crit hit chance. So, where was I here? So, and then for the last point, we are going to be going into Shadow Blight, right? Shadow Blight, so we can get the 180 multiplicative damage and do that. And one more thing I'm going to say about Vigor, now that we are actually into here. After being healthy for 12 seconds, your next Blood Orb skills overpowers the timer reduced, I don't think that this is all that good. Even in a world where you have health globes everywhere, I don't think it's really that good, because I mean, it's just really not. It's just my opinion, right? So when you have Blood Surge and you have a ton of attack speed, right, which you're getting from vampire aspects, everyone's commonly using this aspect, you know, over here that's another 50. Best in slot, people are usually using daggers. This is very fast attack speed, right? And there's other vampire powers that also give attack speed. I'm not going to go into it this time, but my point here is that, where's the fine writing? Where is it? If an enemy is damaged by Blood Surge Nova while you're healthy, then you gain 1 stack to overwhelming. When you have 5 stacks over your next Blood Surge overpowers. So paranormal Blood Surge. If an enemy is damaged by Blood Surge Nova while you're healthy, you gain a stack. When you have 5 stacks, Blood Surge. Okay, so paranormal Blood Surge, okay, and the amount of attack speed that we're talking about, okay, is what is creating all of these overpowers in a quick amount of time, right? Not the blood orbs, okay? Actually, I would argue that if you are taking time to walk towards a blood orb, you're actually going to be getting less overpowers, even if you were constantly walking into blood orbs, because I would simply just be holding down the trigger to Blood Surge, you know, with a billion increased attack speed, making overpowers constantly happen, right? Now, I think that's good for here. I'm going to, we'll go into Paragon board right after Vampire Powers. I'm just going to flash Vampire Powers and try to take a quick second to talk about these. Here I am here with Circle of Life, casting skills, yep, heals me. Damage reduction for missing life. Maximum physical damage. And heal, another healing source. Lots of these are healing source as well. And we also have, you know, 3 points into gruesome mending, 30% more healing from all sources. So all sources is going to mean, you know, 30% more healing from, you know, Blood Surge, from anything that heals you, right? From all sources. So these are the ones that I'm using, right? So I'm just going to skip that. I wouldn't really change any of these around. I will just throw in a quick note to say, before I had, bone wall, lidless wall for bone storms, I was still proccing bone storm up 100% of the time, but I was using this for cooldown reduction, right? And then I was using this on my amulet to get that there, so I had about 34-second cooldown on this, and I was up for about 25%, 25 seconds of the time. So I was only down for about 8 or 9 seconds or something, roughly in there. Another one that I used was that I thought was quite good. I wanted to actually try this, killing an enemy will fortify you, but I think my fortify is okay. I'm just going to go over these really quickly, tell you which ones I've used and tested. I think that Prey on the Weak could be good to apply vulnerable. Actually, too, this is actually probably a sleeper just because evading through monsters is happening very naturally and part of your build because of Tibbs' will, right? Because of that, it happens very naturally. Because of that, I think it's a sleeper. You're going to have basically 100% uptime. That will allow you to save another point, and you wouldn't. I would take this out of here at that point, and we would be able to put this somewhere else, right? Anywhere else, and oh goodness, let me actually make sure my points are right here. And actually, maybe look into damage or something. Maybe even take this out. Maybe even get rid of corpse. It depends. I'm not going to go further into that. Before we go Paragon, I do want to go through the rest of these. Okay, that's what we're using. I thought this one was very interesting, every 5 basics, but I ended up not. I was going to go and probably use this, but these boots are just too overpowered, okay? And I actually would say that these are overpowered. Like, it completely, negates the need for cooldown reduction, and everybody basically has 100% uptime on their ultimates, which I don't think that should be necessarily so easy to achieve. Yeah, so to the next one. Where are we at here? I do want to talk about one other one that I used. I ran tests on this. I'm going to just skip the notes on that. This one right here, Moonrise. I also was using Moonrise and playing around with it for quite a bit of time, okay? And we talked about hemorrhage and attack speed and its essence generation when you have attack speed. Now, because of that, Moonrise is actually a sleeper because you're getting even more attack speed, okay, to the point where you're basically like when you have Moonrise and you have Ravenous, and then you have the other faster cast rate sources like this, and even more crits with core or basics attack. If you had all of those, and I actually didn't, I had all but one of those. I didn't have, or did I have all? I think maybe I didn't have basics on there, but I had all but one, and I was clicking on hemorrhage, and literally my bar is going to the top instantly. So there is that as well too, and that's not even to mention the movement speed, right? The movement speed that you're also gaining from that, or the basic skill damage. I just want to keep that in mind as well, and I'm pretty sure that is going to cover the vampire powers. Okay, so last but not least, we are just going to quickly flip through the Paragon board. Now, for some reason, when I redid my Paragon board, I felt weaker, so honestly, I'm probably going to redo the board. This might be scuffed. I thought I was onto something, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, so if you think you have a good board, I would just stick with it, and we're going to go into this. I'm not even 100% sure about this stuff. It is what it is. So first I'm going into Essence, right? And this is going to give me more crit hit damage, and yes, I don't know if I want crit hit damage there. Okay, most people are using Blood Drinker, Blood Orbs fortify you. I don't think that I want that because I'm fortified 100% of the time and I'm not chasing Blood Orbs. You already know what it is. So I'm thinking more. That's why I have Essence there. I figure, you know, it's a big chunk of crit hit damage. Other than that, I don't know how crit hit damage and overpower actually even work, to be honest with you. And because of that, I've also thought about getting just more damage while fortified, more damage reduction, right? And then I've also looked into just putting exploit in there, more vulnerable damage. And then there was actually one other sleeper I wanted to talk about, really, not even talk about, just mention, and that's going to be this one here, Exhumination. The reason honestly, I'm not even sure how this thing works, okay? But this would give me damage to corpse, which I don't use, right? So what it does say it will give me, though, is consuming a corpse fortifies you for 4% of your maximum life. Wait a second. This is going to fortify me for 4% of my max life. What does Blood Drinker do? 7% of max life. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not going to get into it too much, but I thought the big part about this was that it also gave me 4 damage reduction for 4 seconds. Now, I am not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that this stacks. And what I mean by that is if I were to consume 3 corpse, that would I get 12 damage reduction from that? I'm pretty sure that I would. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that if I consume, 40, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. If you have information on that, I would love to know. If you know how that works, could you let me know in the comment section, please? Because that would really help me with my build if you have an answer on that. So I would probably put this into this over here. Now, I would put this over here even, you could do it anyways. Because I just don't like chasing the blood orbs and it's not for me. So this would automatically be happening with the way that I'm creating corpse, right? So I'm going to get into that in a little bit more. And actually, now that we're actually talking about consuming corpse, let's actually go and talk about how we actually are consuming corpse. So option 1, okay, well, a different option you can have other than the one I'm about to tell you is you could put a point into corpse explosion and proc it through that means, right? Which would also be making sense if you're making, proccing the shadow damage through this as well, okay? So now that's not how I'm doing it, though. I'm doing it with Bone Storm, okay? So this right here is Bone Storm consumes up to 8 corpse to increase its duration by... So what's happening is I'm actually never consuming a corpse. What's happening is Bone Storm is just automatically doing it for me, so I have hands free. Now, it does consume them quite fast, so the uptime on that's questionable. And what I mean by uptime is, uptime on, let's say this, for example, the one we were just talking about. If it's automatically eating the 8 corpse, then this is probably, going to have a significant amount of downtime. But one of the good things about this, or actually something that I actually want to stress even more, is over evading even once. Like, I wouldn't evade once or twice, right? Because, all I need to do is evade once or twice, and then I'll be able to hit Bone Storm in time, right? But if you keep spamming the evade and you get Bone Storm way sooner, then what that's going to do is it's going to make it so Bone Storm is consuming corpse more often, right? And you have a higher uptime on something like this, okay? Now, the reason that this is important, I'm actually going to skip to a different part of my Paragon board real quick and show you a little bit more of what I'm talking about here. Where is it? Hold on a second. It is... You know what? I'm actually not even using it right now because I was having some issues with my board. Now, this was another variant on my board. I'm actually still running this, but I was having some issues, right? So what I was doing was breaking through here, just getting this, and then I was getting Flesh Eater. Consuming 5 corpse grants you another 40% multiplicative damage, right? So something had went wrong with my Paragon board. I'm trying to kind of work it out now, so consuming 5 corpse grants the damage. So that's what I'm referring to about why I would want to be consuming corpse and why I would want to be evading more, and the source of how I'm actually consuming them corpse, right? So, hey, I'm sorry if this video is long. I'm just trying to go into depth, trying to let you guys pick my brain here. Hey, with that being said, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm trying to goal here out and get, the mythical, 1,000 subscribers. So, hey, if you'd like to help out, go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, let's keep getting into it here. So with the Paragon board, right? I think that's mainly what I wanted to talk about. So I don't think the rest of this Paragon board is going to take too much longer. I'm just going to kind of tell you where I went, right? Essence, which maybe it's interchangeable. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section how well you think crit hit pairs with Overpower and the Blood Surge build. Let me know about that. Maybe it helped my build. So here I just went with tutorial, right? Went to here. I didn't go for damage over time reduction. I think I might be speccing into that. I'm not 100% sure. Went for Overpower here. Overpower. Then what I did was I went into Bone Graph. This is where I started switching things up. I went into the Bone Graph board. I went over here. Now, there's 2 parts to why I went into the Bone Graph. For one is hitting enemies with a bone skill, which is my 100% uptime Bone Storm, is giving me damage that I have. I mean, it's only 8 multiplicative damage, but it's got 100% uptime on it, which is pretty good, right? And another kind of sleeper I feel like here is 16 maximum essence, which I think is pretty good, especially when you're spamming all this stuff. It kind of makes things nice. Now, another thing here is in my other board, I actually was not using max essence on kill. I wasn't using that, which is kind of mind-boggling to me, because using that, I definitely recommend it. If you're not using this board in this layout, I would put that in there, because when you have Mother's Embrace and you're just chopping down, or even if you don't have Mother's Embrace, actually even more so if you don't have Mother's Embrace, that you get that essence back, right? So there's that. And then here, max life and some armor. I skipped this here. Just put a node max life. This is going to be Son of Death. It's going to be Overpower over here. The node that I got plugged into here is Control. I'm not sure about Control. I'm looking into... I do think Control might be best in slot. I don't really think that there's much else I can do there. I mean, Decryptify and Amped come in a combination, so it's kind of hard to get away from Control. I have things very spread out right now, so like I don't have the maximum points around these nodes because I'm kind of experimenting, right? And then after that, I went into what is this? I went into Blood Baguettes, right? And then I have I got Corporal for Overpower damage, right? So, and then I also go up to here, and then I'm getting this, which I'm actually working on. I actually have a weapon that I need to put intelligence onto, so I'm actually missing a little bit of Overpower And then I have, you know, the overpower nodes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is a way that I could creep over here if I wanted to, right? Now, most of my points are coming out of defense, right? Like maybe some points over here coming out of armor, maybe, right? And then a point, you know, here or there. A point here or there, you know, what do we got here? Armor. Yeah, and so there is enough points here and there, basically, right, that you could then also go into Flesh Eater and get up and through here into Flesh Eater for another 40% multiplicative damage. As well, too, there are these crit hit nodes, crit hit damage nodes right here as well, also, as well. Now, hey, if you made it this far and you watched the video all the way through, hey, I really appreciate you. Like I said, I've been working on the channel. I do think that's about it for the channel. Hey, I'm going to be streaming daily on all platforms, I'm going to try to get more information out on that. But yeah, come watch live if you want. If you'd like to help support the channel, liking and subscribing goes a long way. And I think that I pretty much covered just about everything in here. You know, if you want to hit a potion for max life or something, you know, along those lines. You know, I've also noticed that, you know, maybe with a weapon in some of those builds I talked about. See, I can't stop talking. You know, I was trying to end the video, but like, you could actually go a wand to a wand and get some more lucky hit chance, maybe lose a little bit of damage to close. But this is also talking about a world without Doombringer. But yeah, I think that we covered most of the stuff here, so I'm gonna end it at that. And just, hey, hopefully I see some new subscribers, hopefully I see some new people in the chat. You know, I always get new people in the chat, but they don't really talk in the comments. Hey, make sure you say hi in the chat, and you know, I'll try to get back to your comment. And you know, if you got any questions or whatnot, let me know, and we're gonna be out here. It's your boy Ape.